Hello student, welcome back in Arunava Bio class. And I am Arunava Chatterjee, your mentor, psychologist and your friend. So today we discuss our second part of the class 12, the first chapter, that means the reproduction in organism. So how are you friends? I think you complete your first part, right? You complete your first part, that means the reproduction in organism first topic, that is the asexual reproduction. So our journey already started and we are go towards second day. But today in our part, in our syllabus, we discuss the second part. But today you are the second day in our pattern of the process. So today we ultimately discuss about a god of the medical field. You know this is the god of the medical field, right? Very good. He is the Dr. Devisetti, as like the god of Devisetti. And you know that is you are ultimately study their biography. His biography is very interesting. How they are journeying and how they become the doctor and how they become the god. Like you may be in that particular position if you are study hard, study with a proper planning. Maybe it is your picture is present there. So in that particular day, so it is the day 2. In the day 2 we discuss the chapter that is the reproduction in organism. And today our second day, so our topic, very interesting topic, that is the sexual reproduction. You know, the sexual reproduction is a very interesting fact in where the male or female two parents are required and fusion of gametes are required. All of these things we discuss in that particular chapter. But I not introduce you, all the human beings I think know another god. He is also the god of the human beings, god of the all religions. He is the god of Hindus, he is the god of Muslims, and he is the god of the Christians and all the religions. He is our god, our father, our father of humanities. So it is also our sad, all the human beings are respected very much this man. This is the god, another god. So we are introduced now two god. One is the Devisetti and another sad. And sad, one important quote is very important. Like you have the dream. Also, what is the dream? You know, the dream and dream and dream. That means the dream transform into the thoughts. That means you always thoughts how you become the doctor, how you become the god, and thoughts ultimately result in the action. But if you thoughts, you become the doctor, you become the god, but you do not act on it, so you do not become your destination, you do not reach your destination. So action is very important. So how you act on the particular process, we discuss it. Okay, so you just remember this part. Okay. And next we go to these chapters. So now we start our chapters, reproduction in organism. So in the reproduction in organism, the fusion of two gametes is very important. So gametes are required in that particular process. So at first we discuss about the characteristic features of sexual reproduction. You know, it is the process by which the biparental means the two parents are required in that particular process, right? That means always require the one male and another female. So we discuss it is the biparental process. Another one, that is the gametes are always formed. Gametes means the sex cell. Our sex cells are produced in that sexual reproduction process. Another one, fertilization takes place. Fertilization means the fusion of male and female gametes. That is happening in that particular process of sexual reproduction. It involves both meiosis and meiosis. The students are very confused about that. They think that the meiosis are happening in the sexual reproduction. Not right. in the sexual reproduction, mitosis and meiosis both are happening. In their particular process, daughter organisms are genetically different from their parents. That is the very unique characteristic features. So the variation are happening in the organism. It is the important characteristic features of living things, so they can survive in the particular changeable environment. Another one, multiplication is not so rapid and the asexual reproduction. Also, it is a difference between the asexual and sexual process. Right? In the asexual process, the reproductions and their progeny is produced in very fast. But sexual reproduction process, it is required the time. Right? It is a difference. Maybe it is called, it is a disadvantage. So it is the characteristic features. In your NET exam, the statement basis question are coming from that point. So you write down this type of statement in your note. Clear? You just recall all of this information. Now next we go the types. Types mean what is the different types of reproductions. You know that different type of sexual reproduction we discuss about that. One another is a syngamy, another one is a conjugation. But what is the difference between? Syngamy and conjugations are both in the sexual reproduction process. But in both this process the fertilization is happening. But one is temporary and one is permanent. But what is the difference? In the syngamy process, complete and permanent fusion of male and female gametes to form the zygote. That is the very important. In here the fusion is happening, but this is the permanent process. This permanent fusion, right? It is called syngamy. Like in human beings, what is happening? The syngamy are happening because the fertilization of sperm cell and egg cell are happening permanently. Another one, it is maybe the two type. Endogamy. Endo means the internal. Endogamy, the cell fertilization. That means it is involved in the fusion of male and female gametes of the same parent. That means one parent or same parents have the two gametes are produced in one bodies. So it is called endogamy. One example, like Tiniasolium or tapeworm is the most common example who exhibit the endogamy process. So endogamy, internal process, like the tapeworm or exhibit this type of process. Next one, exogamy. Exogamy means it is also be called the cross fertilization. Cross fertilization means it involves the fusion of two gametes produced by the different organism. That means male produce the male gamete and female produce female gametes. After that they fuse together. It is called the cross fertilization or exogamy. So in the human beings, in the rabbit, the cross fertilization are involved. Next, the syngamy type in the structure of fusion of gametes. Number one, the gametes, you know that is the main sex cell which is involved in the fertilization. But in the NET point of view, a very important information is there. The syngamy. Syngamy is different type according to the type of gametes. Isogamy. Iso means the same. That means the fusion of gamete which is similar morphological structure. That means the gametes are similar, right? Similar structure. Their appearance are similar, but maybe different in physiological function, but morphologically they are similar. So that time it is called the isogamy. Which organism are exhibit? Very important information. Chlamydomonas are exhibit this type of isogamy. Isogamy means the first type of syngamy. Next up one, anisogamy. From this point or name you understand that it is also be called heterogamy. Why it is called the heterogamy? Because the gamete which is different in size and motility. That means one gamete may be motile and the gamete is non-motile. Like in human beings, the sperm are motile. On the other hand, the egg cell are non-motile. So in the human beings, the syngamy is type of an isogamy. Also it is called heterogamy. Next, the microgamy, that is the most important in that particular two process. But in subdivision also be there, right? That is first of all the microgamy. Microgamy means certain protein strands. That means the protein strand is a unicellular organism. Their cells are involved in the fertilization process. That time it is called the microgamy. On the other hand, autogamy in the paramecium process, that is are involved like in automatic manner. Like from that point of view, this type of fusion of syngamy is called the autogamy. On the other hand, yeast ultimately unicellular fungi, and they involve in the fertilization in the whole body, right? Whole body are participate in the fusion of gametes. So whole the cell are exhibit as a gamete. That time it is called the hologamy. It is happening in the yeast. Next, now we discuss another type of process that is called the conjugation. So we differentiate the fertilization is a two types, syngamy and conjugation. Syngamy are permanent fusion. On the other hand, conjugation is the temporary union. That means temporary fusion of the two gametes, two parents of the same species. The species is the most important, If the different species are there, that time if the fertilization may be happening, but the offspring are produced, that is are infertile in nature. So same species is most important. Paramecium, Spirogyra, right, are exhibit each type of conjugation process. Next, we will discuss about what is the advantage of the sexual reproduction. In the sexual reproduction process, the variation are happening. Variation means the offspring are totally and somehow are different from their parents. It is called the variation. And most important point, our environment is changed in every seconds. So every organism change their internal or external structure to fit into the particular environment. So it is the basic characteristic features of all living things, that is the help by the sexual reproduction process. And the adaptation process related to evolutions, and adaptation process also be happening when the variation are happening in the living organism. And in the sexual reproduction process, the variation are happening. It is help in the adaptation process also. This is the most important advantages of the sexual reproduction. Here the parent and offspring are different, but some disadvantage also be there. What is the disadvantage? Sexual reproduction usually ultimately biparental, but so always the two different parents are not present in particular situation. That is the disadvantage, because asexual reproduction, if the one parent is there, the reproduction or progeny are produced. But in case the human beings, if one male is there, another female is not present, so that time ultimately they do not involve in the sexual intercourse, and the offspring are not produced. It is the disadvantage. Like on different animals, like you have a dog, right? You have a male dog. So, or you have a female dog, right? So that time they do not produce any babies. When their reproductions are happening with the another any dog with the opposite sex, that time their baby is there, right? It is slow process and require lots of time. Comparatively the sexual reproduction, fertilization is a chance factor, because always fertilization are happening, that is not sure process. Right? So it is a statement basis questions, and the MCQs are come from that particular statement. That is very important. In the our NET syllabus, the advantage and disadvantage. Next one, we discuss another point. So we discuss about the advantage and disadvantage. Now we discuss about the phase of the sexual reproduction. What is the different phase? Number one, the juvenile phase. Juvenile phase is ultimately in animals it is happening, but in plants we call it is in the vegetative phase. So juvenile phase are related to animals. What is happening in here? In that period, the growth between the birth up to their reproductive maturity, like a boy, their age are 6 years. That times they are in their body the sperm are not produced, and then they are not able to produce any offspring. right? Because they do not reach the sexual maturity or the puberty. This time the growth between the birth up to reproductive maturity is called the juvenile phase. And now it is same thing is there in the plant. It is called the vegetative phase. In vegetative phase, the vegetative parts are grow. You know the vegetative parts. Vegetative parts means like roots, like stem, like leaves. It is developed in the plant bodies, but not any reproductive part like the flower. So this time the plants, the period growth between the germination up to initiation of flower, this is called the vegetative phase, right? It is the two phase, all this vegetative and juvenile phase in the pre-reproductive phase. Next we discuss about the reproductive phase, where the organism are retained or reach the sexual maturity. Start the reproduction sexually, that is called the reproductive phase. After the human beings, they reach the puberty. After that, they are in the reproductive phase. And in the reproductive cycle, we discuss this thing. There are two types of cycle is very important. The oestrus cycle and the menstrual cycle. At first, we discuss about the oestrus cycle. That means it is a cyclic change during the reproduction. But which organism are exhibit this type of cycle? That is very important question in your NET. That in non-primate animals, non-primates, example like cow, like sheep, like rats, like deers, like dogs, like tigers, all are exhibit the oestrus cycle. On the other hand, similar type of cycle is there. This is called the menstrual cycle. It is also with a cyclic change are happening in the living organism, but it is happening in the primates like monkey, like apes, and like humans. In the female body that is happening clearly, and in that particular changes is called the menstrual cycle. Show reproductive cycle, two types, oestrus cycle and menstrual cycle. Oestrus cycle happening in the non-primates, menstrual cycle are happening in the primates. Very good. This is very important question also. Now, we ultimately differentiate the animals according to their breeding seasons. Some animals ultimately breeds continuously or throughout the year. That means year-round breeding are happening, and that is very important in the tropics animal. That means they are present in the tropical region. They are continuously breed or breeds in throughout the year. That time they are called the continuous breeder. On the other hand, some animals do not ultimately in breed or in participate in the sexual reproduction in the all, not in all years time. They are in restricted manner. They are ultimately two types. They are regular or irregular. Same thing is there in the continuous or the two type of breeders mainly. Seasonal breeders, they breed in some seasonal time, like you know the frog. On the other hand, the human beings are the continuous breeder. The animals continue to breed throughout their sexual maturity. Like human beings also be there, mice also be there, cattle also be there. They ultimately reproduce all in every times, right, throughout the year. And now we go to the another very important point in the sexual reproduction, that is the events of the sexual reproduction. You know that three events is there: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. Fertilization is the most important because it is happening in the fusion of two gametes. But before the fertilization, this phase is called the pre-fertilization, and after the fertilization it is called the post-fertilization events. But what is happening in that particular phases, that is we discuss one by one. At first, in the pre-fertilization events, in here the gametogenesis and gamete transfer are happening. Gametogenesis means the production of gametes and gamete transfer means the transfer of gametes. One by one we discuss one things. The gametogenesis, production of gametes, and in the formation of gametes, same thing is there. But you know, bisexual or monoecious, bi means two, that means two sex present in one organism. Like in plants, when both male and female reproductive structure are present on the same plant, that time it is called the monoecious plants. or bisexual. Most common example, coconut, cucumber beets. Also you know the pine, that is the gymnosperm, is the example of the monoecious plant. Mono means the single organism have the both sex. That time it is called monoecious. Another one, that is the unisexual. It is happening that time. Uni means the single. Uni means the single. That means the reproductive structure present on different plants. One is like male plant, another is here is the female plant. That time it is called the unisexual or dioecious plant. Di means the two organism is there. Most example in papaya or date palm, they have the different male, different female plants. In the male plant produce the male flower, on the other hand female flower produce the female flower, right? So there are ultimately two plants is there. So it is called the unisexual. Like human beings also the unisexual, but it is the animals. Now we discuss another point, that is the hermaphrodites. Now we are coming to the animal point of view. In animals like the human beings, we are the unisexual because we are male or female, the different. But hermaphrodite or bisexual, that means in some lower animals, not the higher animals, like the tapeworm, like the earthworm, like some lower animals, both male and female organism present in the same individuals. That time it is called the hermaphrodites. Very important and common two examples, that is the tapeworm and earthworm and leech, belongs to the hermaphrodite. That means in that particular animals have the both sex, male and sex organ present in the same organism. Alright, like in the earthworm you see that particular structure. And the gamete transfer is very important. That means the gamete, generally male gamete is motile and female gamete is non-motile. They have the capacity to move one part to another. Female gamete are sterile. That means they are in static condition. Generally it is happening. In algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water serves as a medium. Very important question. Water serves as a medium to transfer the gametes. Algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. Three options is there. Male gametes are produced thousands of times. Why? Because they move from one part to another to fertilize. So it is the chance to destroy the many numbers of male gametes. So they are produced in several thousands. And now the fertilization. We are now go to the fertilization type. In the fertilization type, you know the fertilization are happening external or internal. Where it is happening, according to the point of view, we classify this in the two types. External means when the fertilization occurs outside the body. External means outside. But in which organism are exhibit this thing? Like algae, fish or amphibians. They are happening the external type of fertilization. Internal fertilization means ultimately egg retained inside the female body and fertilization are happening inside the female body. That time it is called the internal. That means fertilization are happening internal of the organism body. And here the common example like reptiles, birds and mammals including the human beings. And now we are go to our last events of the sexual reproduction, post-fertilization events. After fertilization, what is happening? Formation of zygote, embryogenesis, that means the embryo formation is there. We discussed that is one by one. At first, the formation of zygote. After the fertilization, zygote is formed. And zygote is a diploid in nature, that means they have the twin number of chromosome, 2 eggs. So, zygote is diploid in nature. Next, you know the fusion of male and female gametes, the zygote are formed. Now the embryogenesis. From this name we understand that in here the embryo are formed. That is very important things. Embryo are developed from zygote. Is called the embryogenesis process. But you know it is in which type of cell division are happening in the formation of embryo. That is the mitosis cell division and cell differentiation process. These two processes are involved in the embryogenesis process. Next, The cell division, right, very important. Cell division ultimately increase the number of the cells. So their mass and the number of cells are increased. And what is happening in the cell differentiation? And specialized tissue and specialized organ are formed due to the cell differentiation process. So embryonic development may be in the two types, viviparous and oviparous, and a special type is there, that is the oviviviparous. But what is the difference between the viviparous and oviparous? Viviparous means, like one, animals, the embryo develop inside the female body. Embryo develop inside the female body. On the other hand, oviparous, fish, birds, they are oviparous, produce egg that develop outside the body. So embryo develop outside the body, and in here inside the body. So human beings are belongs which type? Right, very good, they are belongs to viviparous. On the other hand, so it is called young one. So in oviparous they are egg-laying animals. On the other hand, the viviparous are young ones delivered animals. But one exception is there. Like it is called the exception, because this is belongs to the two process, oviparous, oviparous plus viviparous. In here, the oviparous animals, the embryo develop inside an egg which remain inside the female body. Most common example is the shark, right? So according to the embryonic development, we classify the animals mainly in the two categories, viviparous, young ones, delivered organism, and egg-laying animals, it is the oviparous. You bear in mind that example, right? Oviparous, the birds, and viviparous like the human beings. Like viviparous animal, cow, elephants, and horse are the most common some example of the viviparous. Oviparous are like reptiles, like birds, like chickens, all of the common example is there. And oviviparous, that means the common example shark, in where the both processes are happening in common in that particular organism. Now in flowering plants, that means the angiosperm. What is happening in here? Zygote is formed where inside the ovule in the female sex organ. You know, it is very important common process in the flowering plant process. Zygote from inside the ovule of the female sex organ. You know, in the ovule the egg cell is there. When they fused with the generative cell, that time the zygote are formed. We discussed in the second chapter also. Though fertilization of the ovule mature and ultimately gets converted into seed. So from that ovule the seed is produced, and from that ovary the fruits are produced. That is the very important topic. And the wall of the ovary produce the pericarp. That means a fruit are produced like mango, right? Mango inside the seed is there, and the outer covering is called the fruit wall. Also it is called the pericarp. Pericarp of the three zone, external, middle, and internal. So it is called the exocarp, mesocarp, and the internal endocarp. Three zones. But three zones collectively known as pericarp, also the fruit wall, which is developed from the ovarian wall, and from that ovary the fruits are formed. So ripened ovary ultimately enclosing their ultimately seeds forms the fruits. So the advantages of sexual reproduction, that is the most important topic we are discussed in that particular chapters, that more adaptability, more variation, greater chance of ultimately mutation, greater chance of survivability. So sexual reproduction are most important in the organism to survive in our nature, right? So today we complete our first chapter, that is the reproduction in organism. Right now you just read the NCERT books very thoroughly, and next you write down a short note from the NCERT books, and third step we are ultimately read some MCQs, and in 7th August we have the test on the reproduction in organism. So very carefully you read, right, and in every topic you emphasized, right, because you are very much familiar in every topic, so you confident about this chapter, right? So if this ultimately class help you, genuinely it is help you, so you ultimately spread this in your friend by sharing these videos or like the videos, so that time I am confident about my work and ultimately doing the next class and more energetically. Okay, so thank you and thank you very much. So see you in the next class and the next chapter. Best of luck. Thank you very much.